All right, let's do a little graphing for a monopoly and look at some of the important aspects of this graph. Remember, you can always come back to the graph at some point in time, and you can choose to watch some of these segments over and listen a little again. So we're going to draw this monopoly graph, price, quantity, all the same. There's only one graph for monopoly. It's not side by side because the market is the firm and the firm is the market. We add a demand curve. Now, the demand curve is also the price because the demand represents the benefit that you receive from consuming a product, and the benefit should match the price of the product. If you remember from the table that we just looked at, that the marginal revenue is going to be falling below the price. So they start off together. When the price was 22, the marginal revenue was 22. But when the price dropped to 20, the additional revenue on the second unit was only 18. So the marginal revenue curve will fall below, the demand curve. Start there together and then fall below marginal revenue. All right, so not the same, not a Mr. Darp. Marginal revenue is below the demand curve because as they sell more, they have to lower the price on the previous units. So the marginal cost curve comes in, it's normal, remember the supply curve. And so now we wonder, how many units will the monopoly want to produce? Where will they maximize their profits? They're going to maximize their profits like every other firm. Max profit is marginal cost equals marginal revenue. All right, so where's marginal cost, marginal revenue? Right here. So the firm wants to produce this quantity. That is their quantity profit maximization. Marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Is this an efficient market? Perfect competition was efficient, not because they produced where marginal cost equaled marginal revenue, but perfect competition was efficient, allocatively efficient, because the marginal cost equaled the price of the product. Our willingness matched the producer cost of production on that unit. Allocatively, if they were allocatively efficient, they would be producing here. Q, I'm going to label it A as allocative efficiency. But they're not producing at that level. So we know that a monopolist is not efficient. We said earlier in the previous video that they will produce less than a competitive market. And we also said that they will charge a higher price. So let's look at that. What price will the monopolist charge? Well, he's going to be producing this quantity here, which is profit maximizing. Let's say that 5 units. What will be the price of these units? Well, look at 5 and then go find the price. The demand curve is your price curve, so hold your quantity constant, right? Go up to the demand curve, go up to the demand curve. Bingo, right here. This will be the price that they will charge. So they are charging a higher price at 5 units. At 5 units, the marginal cost is here. They're charging a price that is greater than their marginal cost. So they are not allocatively efficient. If they were allocatively efficient, they would be charging a price that matched the marginal cost, but they're charging a price that is greater than the marginal cost. All right, I'm going to pause a second, and then we're going to look at I'm going to clean up our graph, and we're going to look at another concept. All right, we're back here. Remember, our marginal revenue curve starts with the demand curve and then falls, continually falls. We add our marginal cost curve on here. We can figure out where the firm wants to produce at MC equals MR. I'll just go ahead and label that. This is the quantity. I can determine the price by looking at that quantity. That's the quantity. So what price is the consumer willing to pay? Go up to our demand curve. That represents our willingness. There's our willingness. So this is the price of the product. Fabulous. What else can I see about this curve? Well, we remember from a previous unit that we focused on when this marginal revenue curve here crossed over zero, and what would that tell us? When that marginal revenue curve crosses over zero, it tells us something about total revenue. We know as long as the marginal revenue curve is a positive number before it crosses over zero, that the total revenue must be going up. But if the marginal revenue is a negative number, then my total revenue has to be going down. So I'm going to relate this to my demand curve because I can use this to teach me something about elasticity on this demand curve. So the demand curve from here to here is going to be elastic. Why? So you could, as we're moving down this demand curve, as we move down this demand curve from the top here to this point that we've marked right above zero, the price is decreasing, but the marginal revenue is positive, so the total revenue would be increasing. And if you remember from our elasticity test, that this means our product must be elastic. There must have been a large percentage change in quantity demand so that as the price fell, the total revenue would increase. At the point over zero, this is unit elastic. And at all prices on the demand curve below unit elastic, down in this range, the demand for this product is inelastic. As the price is decreasing in this range, moving down the demand curve, our marginal revenue is a negative number, so our total revenue must be going down. In this portion down here, in the lower portion of the demand curve, if you look below, the marginal revenue is negative. If the marginal revenue is negative, then your total revenue would be decreasing. So the product is inelastic. This means the monopolist will always produce in the elastic portion of the demand curve. Okay. So they will always be producing in the elastic portion of the demand curve because the marginal cost curve is going to be a positive number, and it's going to intersect the marginal revenue at a positive number. And so they're always going to be producing in the elastic portion of the demand curve. And so that is a helpful thing to remember to relate to some of the past information that you have already learned. All right, so on a finishing note today, I hope everybody is doing okay and that you guys are all happy and healthy and all that kind of good stuff, and so is your family. Um, want you to go onto your account for AP Central or your AP Classroom. And in AP Classroom, there should be a 10 multiple choice questions for you. You can use any resource you want. You can use your notes, you can use the internet to look up information about a topic. This is all about learning on these multiple choice questions that I'm asking you to do for this assignment. But you need to answer those 10 questions by tonight, 11:45. It closes. And I cannot keep reopening it for people. It's not convenient or easily done. And I also want to share with your other classmates all the answers to those questions that in our next session. So I ask that you be helpful for me and for your classmates and get that done by 11:45 tonight. And again, you can use resources. You could ask one another and talk about the questions. I don't care. You need to learn this material. And so I hope this was helpful, and I hope the videos are helpful. And and again, continue to wish you all good health. See you next time.